This is the work you are called to do on earth, and you must finish it before you give your strength to everything else. Not because everything else is wrong, not because the people around you do not matter, not because the other doors are evil, but because there is one assignment carrying your name, your preparation, your pain, your gift, and your becoming. And if you keep giving your first strength to second things, you will keep feeling tired even when your life looks full. This is why you can be busy and still feel behind. This is why you can be helpful and still feel empty. This is why you can start new things and still feel unfinished. This is why certain doors do not excite you the way they used to. This is why some conversations drain you before they even begin. This is why your spirit has been quietly pulling away from noise, drama, and obligations that used to feel normal. Something inside you knows you are not being asked to do everything. You are being called back to the thing, the work, the wall, the assignment, the sacred responsibility that keeps returning to your heart, no matter how many times you try to distract yourself from it. And I want you to listen carefully, because this message is not here to shame you for the delay. It is here to gather your energy back from every place where it has been scattered. You are not lazy. You are not lost beyond repair. You are not behind in the way you think you are. You are being interrupted by purpose. There is a difference between being busy and being aligned. There is a difference between being needed and being sent. There is a difference between doing many good things and finishing the one sacred thing that has been placed in your hands. And that difference is what this message is going to reveal. Because some of you have spent years asking, "What is my purpose?" But deep down, the real question has not been, "What is my purpose?" The real question has been, "Why do I keep avoiding the one thing my spirit already knows?" You know the feeling. It comes in quiet moments. When the room is still, when the day is over, when no one is asking anything from you, when your phone is finally silent, when you are not performing, explaining, helping, fixing, answering, proving, or carrying. Something rises in you, a thought, a burden, an image, a dream, a project, a message, a work you know you were meant to finish. And for a moment, your spirit recognizes it. Then the fear comes, the distractions come, the excuses come, the responsibilities come, the old identity comes, and before you know it, another week has passed, another month has passed, another year has passed, and the work is still waiting in the same place. Not dead, not gone, waiting. Waiting for the focused version of you, waiting for the healed version of you, waiting for the obedient version of you, waiting for the version of you that no longer needs permission from people who were never assigned to understand your calling. Chosen one, that is why this moment matters. You have been carrying too many things that are not yours to finish. You have been answering voices that are loud but not holy. You have been treating every request as an assignment and every opportunity as a sign. But not every open door is your door. Not every burden is your burden. Not every invitation deserves your yes. Some things are good, but they are not first. Some people are important, but they are not your assignment in this season. Some opportunities look impressive, but they scatter the very focus God is trying to restore in you. And if you do not learn the difference, your gift will keep being used everywhere, except the place where it was meant to bear fruit. This is one of the hardest lessons for a chosen one, because you are not heartless. You feel deeply. You notice what others ignore. You sense pain before people speak it. You walk into rooms and feel the weight. You can tell when someone is smiling but breaking. You can tell when something is off. You can tell when people are pulling from you, even when they use polite words. And because of that, you have often believed that if you can help, you must help. If you can answer, you must answer. If you can carry it, you must carry it. If you can make someone feel better, you must abandon your own focus to do it. But that is not always love. Sometimes that is fear wearing the clothes of kindness. Sometimes that is people-pleasing wearing the clothes of service. Sometimes that is old rejection teaching you to earn your place by being useful. And sometimes, chosen one, the very thing you call compassion is the thing keeping you from completion. Let that sit in your spirit, because the dangerous thing about distraction is that it does not always look dark. Sometimes distraction looks noble. Sometimes distraction looks responsible. Sometimes distraction looks like being there for everyone. Sometimes distraction looks like one more conversation, one more favor, one more emergency, one more delay, one more promise that you will begin when things calm down. But things will not calm down until you become clear. The world does not give focus to the unfocused. You have to guard it. You have to choose it. You have to stop treating your assignment like something you can return to after everyone else is satisfied. Because everyone else may never be satisfied. There will always be another need, another message, another problem, another expectation, another reason to postpone the thing that is quietly asking for your obedience. So hear this with love. If you keep waiting for a perfect season to begin the work will keep waiting. If you keep waiting until nobody needs you, the work will keep waiting. If you keep waiting until fear disappears, the work will keep waiting. If you keep waiting until every person understands your path, the work will keep waiting. And your spirit will keep feeling restless, not because God is angry with you, but because your life is trying to return to order. That restlessness is not punishment. It is redirection. It is the inner sound of your assignment, calling your name again. It is the part of you that knows you were not created just to react to life. You were not created just to survive the week. You were not created just to absorb other people's emotions. You were not created just to start things and abandon them when the pressure rises. You were not created just to be the strong one in everybody else's story while your own sacred work remains untouched. You were created to build, to finish, to steward, to carry something from the invisible realm into the visible world. And this is where many chosen ones lose years. Not because they have no gift, but because they have too many gifts. Not because they have no opportunities, but because they do not know which opportunity is assigned. Not because they have no calling, but because they keep confusing movement with obedience. You can move all day and still not obey. You can be exhausted and still not be aligned. You can help many people and still be hiding from the thing God asked you to face. And that is why this message is coming with clarity, not condemnation. Because the goal is not to make you feel guilty. The goal is to help you stop bleeding energy into places that cannot produce the fruit you were born to carry. Chosen one, if you stay with this until the end, you are going to receive something very specific. You are going to understand why your energy has been so divided. You are going to see the difference between a good opportunity and a true assignment. You are going to recognize the signs that point to the work you must finish. You are going to learn how to stop coming down from your wall every time distraction calls your name. And by the end, you will have a simple inner declaration to carry with you when life tries to scatter you again. Not hype, not pressure, clarity. Because clarity is what your spirit has been asking for. Now, before we go deeper, I want you to do something inwardly. You do not need to move. You do not need to close your eyes. You do not need to stop what you are doing. If you are somewhere, you must stay alert. Just bring one image into your mind. Imagine that your energy is like golden oil, and over time, little openings have formed around you. One opening is labeled approval. One is labeled fear. One is labeled guilt. One is labeled distraction. One is labeled old identity. One is labeled other people's emergencies. And through each opening, your oil has been slowly leaking. Not all at once, just drop by drop, day by day, yes by yes, delay by delay. Now imagine those openings beginning to seal, not by anger, not by bitterness, not by cutting everyone off, but by holy order. Approval is sealed, fear is sealed, guilt is sealed, distraction is sealed, Old identity is sealed. False responsibility is sealed. And now the oil that was leaking begins returning to the center of you. Your focus returns. Your discernment returns. Your courage returns. Your first strength returns. And in the center of your spirit, one phrase begins to rise. I return to the work. Hold that phrase, not as a performance, as a correction. I return to the work, because that is what this season is about. Not doing more, returning. Not proving more, returning. Not explaining more, returning. Not chasing every open door, returning. Returning to the work that has been waiting for the version of you that is finally ready to finish. Now, let us talk about the difference between good work and assigned work. Good work can bless people. Assigned work forms you while it blesses people. Good work can be done by many. Assigned work carries a strange weight because it asks something particular from you. Good work may use your talent. Assigned work uses your story, your scars, your discernment, your obedience, and the wisdom you could not have learned any other way. Good work may make people clap. Assigned work may first make you quiet. Good work may give you movement. Assigned work gives you order. This is why you cannot choose your next step only by asking, is this good? Many things are good. The better question is this mine? Is this mine to carry? Is this mine to finish? Is this mine in this season? Is this connected to the burden that keeps returning? Is this connected to the gift that survived my hardest seasons? Is this connected to the version of me God has been forming in secret? Because if the answer is no, then even a good thing can become a distraction. That does not mean you dishonor it. That does not mean you judge it. That does not mean you call it bad. It simply means you stop giving first strength to second things. There are people who will not understand this. They will say you changed. They will say you are distant. They will say you used to be more available. They will say you are acting different. And maybe you are. But different is not always pride. Different is sometimes healing. Different is sometimes focus. Different is sometimes obedience. Different is sometimes what happens when a person stops abandoning their assignment to maintain an old version of themselves that everyone else preferred. Chosen one. Some people do not miss you. They miss your lack of boundaries. They miss your instant access. They miss your unprotected energy. They miss the version of you that would come down from your wall every time they called. But this season is not about being easily pulled. This season is about finishing. There is a wall with your name on it. There is a work with your fingerprint on it. There is a responsibility that will not release you simply because you ignored it. And if you listen closely, you already know what kind of work it is. For some of you, the work is a voice. There is something you are meant to say, teach, express, write, record, speak, or release. Not because you want attention, but because your silence has become disobedience. For some of you, the work is a structure, a business, a ministry, a home, a system, a community, a body of work, a foundation that could help people after you are gone. For some of you, the work is healing that must become service. You survived something that was not meant to become a prison. It was meant to become wisdom. For some of you, the work is breaking a cycle. The pattern did not start with you, but it is demanding to end with you. For some of you, the work is becoming stable enough to carry what you prayed for. Because the next level is not waiting for a more excited version of you. It is waiting for a more ordered version of you. And that is why this message is not simply saying, find your purpose. It is saying, gather your energy. It is saying, stop scattering your first strength. It is saying, return to what keeps returning. Because the work has been speaking. It speaks through the idea that will not leave. It speaks through the burden that comes back in different seasons. It speaks through the discomfort you feel when you are doing things that look productive but feel empty. It speaks through the peace you feel when you imagine finally obeying. It speaks through the grief you feel when you realize how long you have delayed. It speaks through the strange conviction that says, I cannot keep living beneath what I know. That conviction is not there to crush you. It is there to wake you. There is something most people miss about a calling. A calling is not always loud. Sometimes it is the quiet thing that keeps surviving your attempts to forget it. Sometimes it is the idea that still has a pulse after years of delay. Sometimes it is the burden that still burns after people told you to be realistic. Sometimes it is the work you keep postponing because you know it will require the end of your excuses. And maybe that is what scares you. Not that you do not know, but that you do. Maybe you know exactly what needs your focus, but knowing makes you responsible. And responsibility is heavier than fantasy. Fantasy lets you imagine the finished version. Responsibility asks you to place one brick today. Fantasy lets you feel chosen. Responsibility asks you to be faithful. Fantasy lets you dream about impact. Responsibility asks you to stop giving your best energy to things that are not assigned. This is why some people stay addicted to the idea of purpose, but never become disciplined in the practice of purpose. They love the feeling of being called, but they resist the structure that calling requires. They love confirmation, but they avoid completion. They love signs, but they ignore instructions. Chosen one, this cannot be your story anymore. You have seen enough signs. You have survived enough seasons. You have received enough fragments. You have delayed long enough to know that delay does not remove the burden. It only makes the burden heavier. And I say that with compassion, because some of the delay was not rebellion. Some of it was pain. Some of it was fear. Some of it was confusion. Some of it was survival. Some of it was the fact that you were carrying wounds you did not know how to name. Some of it was the fact that you were surrounded by people who benefited from you never becoming focused. But even if the delay had reasons, the next season still requires a response. You cannot live forever inside the explanation. At some point, healing must become movement. At some point, clarity must become obedience. At some point, preparation must become construction. At some point, the chosen one must stop asking why the wall is unfinished and return to the wall. This is that point. Not the point where everything is perfect. Not the point where all fear disappears. Not the point where everyone agrees. Not the point where you suddenly feel ready every morning. The point where you decide that your assignment deserves your first strength. There is a quiet power that comes over a person when they stop negotiating with distraction. They do not become harsh. They become clear. They do not become selfish. They become ordered. They do not stop loving people. They stop letting love be used as an excuse for self-abandonment. They do not reject every opportunity. They learn which opportunities are not worth coming down from the wall. And that is the kind of person you are becoming. A person who can be kind without being scattered. A person who can serve without being swallowed. A person who can love without leaking all their oil. A person who can carry responsibility without abandoning assignment. A person who can say, I care, but I cannot come down. That phrase may save your season. I cannot come down. Not because I am better than you. Not because I do not care. Not because I am too important. But because I am doing a great work. And if I keep coming down for every distraction, I will never finish what I was sent to build. Chosen one, hear this deeply. Your assignment does not need your leftover energy. It does not need the last crumbs of your attention after the world has eaten the whole table. It does not need 5 distracted minutes given with resentment. It does not need promises you make at midnight and abandon in the morning. It needs your first strength, your guarded focus, your honest yes, your sacred no, your willingness to be misunderstood for a season, your courage to become consistent before anyone applauds. This is not about becoming famous. This is not about proving everyone wrong. This is not about turning your calling into a performance. This is about stewardship. What has been placed in your hands? What has survived every season? What keeps returning when you are quiet? What makes your spirit feel both afraid and alive? What would bring order to your life if you finally gave it priority? Do not answer quickly. Let the questions search you, because in the next part, we are going deeper into something most people never recognize. The reason the work was delayed. You may think you delayed it because you were lazy, but that is not the whole truth. You may think you delayed it because life got busy, but that is not the whole truth. You may think you delayed it because you lacked discipline, but that is not the whole truth. There were seasons that formed you. There were losses that stripped you. There were betrayals that sharpened you. There were closed doors that protected you. There were hidden years that trained your hands for the work you are about to return to. And before you can finish the assignment, you must understand why the delay did not destroy it. Because the work is still alive. The wall is still waiting. The calling is still speaking. And the version of you that can finish it is closer than you think. And maybe that is why you have felt something stirring again. Not because you suddenly became more capable. Not because all your problems disappeared. Not because the timing became easy. But because the version of you that can finish the work has been forming quietly underneath everything you thought was wasting your time. Chosen one, the past was not empty. I know it may have felt empty. I know there were seasons where nothing seemed to move. Seasons where doors closed without explanation. Seasons where people walked away and took pieces of your confidence with them. Seasons where you kept trying to understand why your life seemed to pause while everyone else seemed to move forward. You watched other people build. You watched other people become visible. You watched other people receive opportunities. You watched other people step into rooms you thought you were ready for. And somewhere inside, a quiet ache began to form. Did I miss it? Did I delay too long? Did God forget what He placed inside me? Did I ruin the work before I even began? But listen carefully. There is a kind of delay that comes from disobedience. And there is a kind of delay that comes from formation. There is a kind of waiting that happens because a person refuses to move. And there is a kind of waiting that happens because the person is being made strong enough to carry what they asked for. You must learn the difference, because if you misread your past, you will enter your future with the wrong story. You will call training a curse. You will call preparation rejection. You will call protection failure. You will call hidden years wasted years. And if you call the past by the wrong name, you will carry shame into a season that requires courage. So let this truth settle in you. Your hidden years were not proof that nothing was happening. Your hidden years were proof that something was being built where people could not see. The roots were going down. The foundation was being poured. The false identity was being stripped away. The need for applause was being weakened. The addiction to being understood was being broken. The fear of being alone was being confronted. The old version of you was being removed piece by piece, not to destroy you, but to reveal the one who could be trusted with the assignment. Because the work you are called to finish cannot be handed to every version of you. There was a version of you that wanted the assignment because it would make people finally see you. That version had to be healed. There was a version of you that wanted the work because it would prove your worth to people who rejected you. That version had to be corrected. There was a version of you that wanted the calling but not the discipline. That version had to be matured. There was a version of you that wanted the promise but still feared the responsibility. That version had to be strengthened. There was a version of you that wanted to help the world while still abandoning yourself. That version had to learn order. So no, chosen one, the past was not empty. It was full of stripping. It was full of strengthening. It was full of separating. It was full of quiet correction. It was full of unseen preparation. It was full of moments where God was not ignoring your prayers, but answering them in a way your younger self could not recognize. Because sometimes the answer to a prayer is not a door opening. Sometimes the answer is a door closing before you walk into a room that would have consumed you. Sometimes the answer is a person leaving before their voice becomes stronger than your calling. Sometimes the answer is a season of silence where you finally hear what was always underneath the noise. Sometimes the answer is the loss of a false path, so the real one can become impossible to ignore. What felt like isolation was training. What felt like rejection was protection. What felt like delay was development. What felt like silence was instruction. What felt like loss was separation from the things that could not go with you into the work. You were not only waiting, you were being narrowed, and that is a word many chosen ones do not like at first. Narrowed, because when God begins to narrow a life, it can feel like things are being taken away. The circle gets smaller, the old excitement fades, the distractions stop tasting the same, the conversations that used to entertain you begin to exhaust you, the environments that used to feel normal begin to feel too loud, the goals that once impressed you begin to feel strangely empty, and you wonder what is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You are being narrowed. You are being brought back from the many things to the one thing. You are being pulled out of scattered ambition and into sacred focus. You are being trained to stop measuring your life by how many options you have and start measuring it by how faithful you are to the instruction that keeps returning. This is why some things stopped working for you. Not because you lost your gift, because your gift was being redirected. Not because you lost favor, because favor was no longer willing to support your distraction. Not because you became less powerful, because your power was being gathered back into the place where it belongs. Chosen one, when your life is out of order, even good things begin to feel heavy. A conversation that should be simple becomes draining. A responsibility that used to feel natural begins to feel suffocating. A place you used to tolerate begins to feel too small. A relationship you used to maintain begins to feel like a room with no air. And your first instinct may be to blame yourself. You may say, "Why am I so tired? Why am I so sensitive? Why do I not have the same energy for this anymore? Why can I not just keep going like I used to?" But the deeper question is this: what no longer has grace on it? What are you still carrying that heaven has stopped asking you to carry? What are you still maintaining because of guilt, habit, fear, or image? What are you calling responsibility when it is really a distraction from obedience? This is where the delay becomes clearer, because the work was not only delayed by hardship, it was delayed by false assignments. And many of those false assignments looked good enough to fool you for years. The first false assignment was becoming everyone's emotional emergency room. You became the place people ran to when their life became heavy. You became the listener, the fixer, the calm one, the strong one, the one who could absorb pain and still speak gently. And because you could carry weight, people kept bringing more. They brought their confusion, they brought their heartbreak, they brought their anger, they brought their crisis, they brought their fear, they brought their problems at all hours. And at first, you thought this was love. You thought this was your purpose. You thought, if I can help, I should help. But over time, something began to happen. Their storms became your weather. Their emergencies became your schedule. Their instability became your responsibility. Their healing became more urgent to you than your assignment. And slowly, your oil began to leak. Not because helping is wrong, but because helping without order becomes self-abandonment. You were never called to be an endless container for pain that people refuse to process. You were never called to be a substitute for their own obedience. You were never called to keep rescuing people from lessons they keep choosing not to learn. There are moments when love helps, and there are moments when love releases. There are moments when compassion speaks, and there are moments when compassion stops interrupting the process God is using to form someone else. You delayed the work every time you came down from your wall to manage storms that were not assigned to your hands. And hear this clearly. This is not a command to become cold. It is a call to become ordered. Because if you keep letting every emotional emergency pull your first strength, your assignment will keep receiving the leftovers. The second false assignment was proving your worth to people who already decided not to see you. This one cuts deep Because some of your delay was not laziness. It was the ache of being unseen. You tried to become undeniable to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. You tried to become excellent enough for people who kept moving the standard. You tried to become useful enough for people who only valued you when you served their needs. You tried to become calm enough, gifted enough, beautiful enough, successful enough, healed enough, spiritual enough, impressive enough. But no matter what you did, something in them still refused to honor what God placed in you. And instead of accepting that their blindness was not your assignment to cure, you kept building your life around proving. You made decisions to be seen. You spoke to be approved. You worked to be validated. You over-explained to be understood. You returned to places that wounded you, hoping the new version of you would finally make them apologize for how they treated the old version. But chosen one, proving is not purpose. And there comes a moment when God stops giving grace for the performance. Not because He is against your healing, but because He knows you cannot finish sacred work while still auditioning for people who were never meant to crown you. Their recognition is too small to be your reward. Their apology is too uncertain to be your fuel. Their approval is too unstable to be your foundation. If you build the work on the need to be seen, then every time they ignore you, your hands will stop building. That is not freedom. That is bondage dressed as ambition. The work must be built from obedience, not from the wound of rejection. The third false assignment was perfecting the plan instead of beginning the work. This one looks disciplined from the outside. It looks wise. It looks careful. It looks responsible. You tell yourself you are preparing. You tell yourself you are waiting for the right moment. You tell yourself you need one more piece of information, one more confirmation, one more skill, one more sign, one more stable season, one more emotional breakthrough, one more clear direction. But sometimes preparation becomes a hiding place. Sometimes planning becomes a spiritual disguise for fear. Sometimes research becomes delay with better language. Sometimes waiting for excellence becomes refusal to be seen in process. Chosen one, the work is not asking for a perfect first step. It is asking for a faithful one. The first brick does not have to be beautiful. It has to be placed. The first version does not have to be complete. It has to be offered. The first movement does not have to silence every fear. It has to prove that fear is no longer the master. You have delayed some things because you wanted to start as the finished version of yourself. But that is not how sacred work is built. You become the person who can finish by beginning before you feel fully ready. You become stable through obedience. You become clear through movement. You become mature by touching the responsibility, not by imagining it from a distance. And yes, there is wisdom in preparation, but there is also fear pretending to be wisdom. Discern the difference. Wisdom prepares you to obey. Fear prepares forever so it never has to obey. The fourth false assignment was carrying a version of yourself that no longer exists. This is subtle, because sometimes you are not only distracted by people, you are distracted by your old identity. The version of you who always had to be available. The version of you who was proud of being overwhelmed. The version of you who felt valuable only when needed. The version of you who said yes because no felt dangerous. The version of you who apologized for having boundaries. The version of you who kept shrinking so other people would not feel challenged. The version of you who believed peace meant keeping everyone comfortable. That version may have helped you survive, but it cannot help you finish. There are identities that are useful in survival, but dangerous in purpose. There are habits that protected you in one season, but will imprison you in the next. There are ways of thinking that kept you safe when you had no power, but now they keep you small, even though God is calling you forward. So part of the delay came from this. You were trying to build a new assignment with an old identity. You were trying to walk into a sacred calling while still wearing the emotional clothing of survival. And that will always feel heavy, because the work requires a version of you that does not need to be chosen by everyone. a version that does not collapse when misunderstood, a version that does not confuse guilt with guidance, a version that does not call every uncomfortable boundary selfish, a version that can love people and still stay with the work. The fifth false assignment was confusing visibility with readiness. Some of you have delayed the work because a part of you is afraid of what happens if it actually works. What if people see me? What if I fail in public? What if I succeed and cannot handle the weight? What if my voice shakes? What if I am exposed? What if I start and cannot finish? What if I become someone I do not recognize? What if people from my past judge me? What if the responsibility is bigger than I imagined? This fear is real, and I will not shame you for it, because the fear of being seen is often strongest in people who carry something real. People who carry shallow things often rush into visibility with no reverence. But people who carry weight tremble. They know the assignment is not a game. They know words matter. They know influence matters. They know building matters. They know obedience matters. So the fear itself is not proof you are unready. Sometimes the fear is proof that you understand the weight. But here is where fear becomes dangerous. When you let reverence turn into paralysis. When you let humility become hiding. When you let the seriousness of the assignment become an excuse to never touch it. Healthy fear bows before God and then obeys. Unhealthy fear bows before the assignment and then runs from it. You are not being asked to become fearless. You are being asked to become faithful while fear is still present. That is how the delay breaks. Not by waiting until your hands stop trembling, but by placing the brick with trembling hands. Now, chosen one, as these false assignments are being named, you may feel something inside you shifting. You may feel relief. You may feel grief. You may feel conviction. You may feel exposed in a way that is not harsh, but holy, because truth does not always shout. Sometimes truth simply turns on the light. And when the light comes on, you see the room clearly. You see where your energy went. You see why the work remained untouched. You see why your spirit felt heavy. You see why certain relationships began to feel expensive. You see why certain opportunities felt impressive, but empty. You see why certain habits kept promising comfort while quietly stealing time. You see why the same assignment kept returning even after you tried to move on. This is not to condemn you. This is to recover you. Because energy that was lost through confusion can be gathered through clarity. And now, I want to speak to something very specific. There are signs your spirit has been giving you that the old pattern can no longer carry you. The first sign is the fatigue that appears around misalignment. This is not ordinary tiredness. This is not just needing rest after a long day. This is the strange heaviness that comes when you are about to say yes to something your spirit already knows is not assigned. You may feel it before certain conversations, before certain obligations, before entering certain environments, before answering certain people, before agreeing to one more thing that sounds small but costs your focus. It is as if your whole inner world becomes heavy. Your mind slows down. Your chest feels crowded. Your thoughts become foggy. Your motivation disappears. And you wonder why something so simple feels so draining. Chosen one. Sometimes that fatigue is information. Sometimes your body is telling the truth before your mouth is brave enough to say no. Sometimes your spirit has already left a place your habits are still trying to maintain. That heaviness is not always weakness. It may be the cost of carrying what no longer has grace. The next sign is the strange peace you feel when you imagine returning to the real work. Even if the work is hard, even if it scares you, even if you do not know every step, there is still a deeper steadiness beneath it. A kit, yes. A holy seriousness. A feeling that says, this will require me, but it will not destroy me. That is different from the frantic energy of false assignments. False assignments make you feel rushed. True assignment makes you feel summoned. False assignments make you feel used. True assignment makes you feel responsible. False assignments scatter your mind. True assignment gathers it. False assignments may impress your ego. True assignment strengthens your spirit. Pay attention to that peace. Not the peace of comfort, the peace of alignment. The next sign is emotional waves that seem to rise out of nowhere. There are moments when you see someone building something, saying something, creating something, or stepping into something that touches the area of your own assignment, and suddenly you feel something. Not jealousy exactly, not anger exactly, not sadness exactly, something deeper, a grief, a pull, a holy ache, because a part of you recognizes what you have not yet obeyed. You are not always upset because someone else has what you want. Sometimes you are stirred because their movement is reminding you of your stillness. Their obedience is exposing your delay. Their courage is calling your courage awake. Do not turn that feeling into comparison. Turn it into instruction. Let it say, I am not here to envy what they are building. I am here to return to what I was given to build. The next sign is that old environments begin to feel too loud. Not always physically loud, spiritually loud, emotionally loud, energetically loud. Places you used to enjoy begin to feel crowded with old versions of you. Rooms that used to entertain you begin to drain you. Conversations that used to feel normal now feel like they pull you backward. You may not hate those places. You may not hate those people. But something in you knows, I cannot stay at this frequency and finish the work. That is not arrogance. That is awareness. A seed cannot become a tree while still demanding to live like a seed. A person cannot step into assignment while constantly feeding the identity that avoided it. The next sign is the repeated thought, the repeated phrase, the repeated burden, the repeated dream, the repeated idea, the repeated conviction. It comes in different forms, but it carries the same message. Return, build, finish. You may hear it while doing something ordinary. You may feel it after a conversation. You may sense it when you wake up. You may remember it when you are trying to distract yourself. And every time it returns, you may try to push it away, but it keeps coming back. Chosen one, there are things God repeats, not because He forgot, but because you have not fully answered. The repetition is mercy. It means the work is still alive. It means the instruction has not expired. It means the door is not closed. It means the assignment is still calling for your yes. The next sign is that you have less tolerance for drama. This can confuse you if you are used to being the patient one. You may wonder, why can I not listen to this anymore? Why do I feel irritated by things I used to accept? Why do I feel pulled away from conversations that keep circling the same pain with no desire to heal? Why do I no longer have energy for arguments that go nowhere? It is because your spirit is conserving oil for the work. There is a version of you that used to confuse chaos with connection. That version is passing away. Now you are learning that peace is not boring. Order is not emptiness. Focus is not loneliness. And silence is not rejection. Sometimes silence is the room where assignment becomes clear. The next sign is that you are beginning to feel the cost of every yes. Before, you may have said yes automatically. Yes to the call. Yes to the favor. Yes to the meeting. Yes to the conversation. Yes to the request. Yes to the expectation. Yes to the emotional burden. But now, something inside you pauses. Not because you do not care, because you finally understand that every yes spends something. Every yes spends time. Every yes spends attention. Every yes spends emotional capacity. Every yes spends focus. Every yes spends part of your first strength. And when you say yes to what is not assigned, you may be silently saying no to the work that is. That realization is painful, but it is also freedom. Because once you understand the cost, you can stop pretending your energy is endless. Your energy is not endless. Your attention is not endless. Your time is not endless. Your emotional capacity is not endless. Your first strength is sacred, and what is sacred must be stewarded. This is why the wilderness was necessary. Because the wilderness did three things in you. It stripped you, it strengthened you, it separated you. First, it stripped you. It stripped away the illusion that everyone must approve of you before you obey. It stripped away the belief that being misunderstood means being wrong. It stripped away the need to explain every movement to people who were not assigned to walk with you. It stripped away the fantasy that the calling would only require inspiration and never discipline. It stripped away the old comfort of being needed by everyone. It stripped away the identity that confused exhaustion with importance. And yes, stripping hurts. When something is being removed, it can feel like loss. But not every loss is theft. Some loss is surgery. Some loss is pruning. Some loss is mercy. Some loss is God removing what would have wrapped itself around your assignment and choked it later. You cried over some things that were actually leaving to make room for focus. You grieved some doors that would have pulled you into a life that looked successful but felt hollow. You missed some people whose absence later became peace. You mourned some versions of yourself that could not have survived the weight of your calling. The wilderness stripped you, but it did not leave you empty. It made room. Then it strengthened you. Not in the dramatic way people like to imagine. Not always with applause. Not always with visible victory. Sometimes strength was built in the small choices no one saw. When you kept going after disappointment. When you did not become bitter after betrayal. When you learned to sit with silence without running back to chaos. When you prayed with no immediate answer. When you kept your heart soft in a season that could have made you hard. When you chose not to retaliate. When you chose not to explain. When you chose not to collapse. When you chose not to turn pain into cruelty. That was strength. The world may not have seen it, but it counted. The assignment you are called to finish will require more than talent. Talent can start a thing. Strength finishes it. Excitement can begin a thing. Endurance finishes it. Emotion can imagine a thing. Character finishes it. And the wilderness was building the part of you that does not quit when the feeling fades. Then it separated you. This may have been the hardest part, because separation often feels like rejection before it feels like protection. People you thought would stay did not stay. Places you thought would hold you began to feel too small. Desires you thought defined you began to fade. Old dreams lost their taste. Old conversations lost their pull. Old patterns became harder to tolerate, and you may have felt guilty for outgrowing what once comforted you. But growth always creates distance from something. A seed must separate from the shell. A child must separate from the womb. A healed person must separate from the identity built around the wound. A called person must separate from the noise that keeps the calling buried. So yes, the wilderness separated you, not to make you superior, to make you clear, not to make you isolated forever, to remove what kept interfering with your hearing, not to make you lonely, to teach you the difference between connection and attachment. Because some attachments were built on the old you, and the new you cannot keep feeding them without shrinking. Chosen one, this is why you were not able to carry certain things forward. It was not because you were failing. It was because your future required a different order. You were being stripped. You were being strengthened. You were being separated. And now you are being summoned. This is the moment where many people misunderstand the message. They think the answer is simply, I need to find my purpose. But for many of you, that is not the real issue. You are not as unclear as you think. You may not know every detail. You may not know the full path. You may not know the timing. You may not know who will help. You may not know what the finished version will look like. But you know more than you admit. You know the burden that keeps returning. You know the gift that keeps surviving. You know the work that keeps appearing in your thoughts. You know the kind of people you feel called to serve. You know the message that keeps pressing against your chest. You know the thing you keep postponing because it asks for a more disciplined version of you. So the issue may not be discovery. It may be obedience. That is a different kind of clarity, because discovery lets you keep searching. Obedience asks you to respond. Discovery lets you stay in questions. Obedience asks you to take the next faithful step. Discovery can feel safe because there is always more to learn. Obedience makes the assignment real. And maybe that is why you have kept asking for more signs. Because signs are easier than surrender. Confirmation is easier than construction. Inspiration is easier than consistency. A dream is easier than a schedule. A feeling is easier than a finished wall. But chosen one, there comes a point where one more sign will not help if you keep ignoring the instruction already given. There comes a point where clarity does not come before obedience. It comes through obedience. You take the first faithful step, and the next step becomes clearer. You place the first brick, and your hands begin to remember what they were made to build. You protect 1 hour of focus, and your spirit begins to trust you again. You say no to one false responsibility, and your assignment receives oxygen again. You stop feeding one distraction, and the work begins to breathe. This is how the delay breaks. Not all at once, not through panic, not through shame, not through forcing, but through order, through one returned yes, through one protected boundary, through one honest decision, through one day where your first strength goes to the thing God keeps bringing back to you. And I want to say something gently before we move forward. If you have been waiting for your mind to feel perfectly clear before you return to the work, you may wait too long. Because when a person has lived in survival, even sacred instruction can sound like noise. When the mind has been trained by stress, fear, pressure, and constant interruption, it becomes harder to hear the quiet voice of assignment. That does not mean the calling is absent. It means the instrument needs recalibration. Later, we will touch something important about the state of the mind and how clarity is not only spiritual language, but also connected to the way your inner system has been trained to live in survival. There is a reason some prayers feel like they rise from a scattered mind. There is a reason some decisions feel heavy, even when your spirit knows they are right. There is a reason some people feel close to breakthrough, but their focus keeps breaking before completion. We will come back to that. But for now, understand this. The delay did not destroy the work. The false assignments did not erase the assignment. The wilderness did not cancel the calling. The years did not make you unusable. The pain did not disqualify you. The confusion did not remove the gift. The waiting did not mean God changed his mind. The work is still alive. But now you must stop treating it like a someday thing. Someday when you are less afraid. Someday when people understand. Someday when the perfect door opens. Someday when you feel completely healed. Someday when no one needs you. Someday when the schedule is easy. Someday when life stops being life. That someday has stolen too much. You do not need the whole staircase to return to the work. You need the next step. You do not need every person to understand. You need enough courage to obey while misunderstood. You do not need to feel fearless. You need to stop letting fear make decisions in the name of wisdom. You do not need to be the finished version of yourself. You need to become faithful with the version of yourself that exists right now. Because the assignment is not waiting for perfection. It is waiting for stewardship. And stewardship begins when you stop asking, "How do I do everything?" and start asking, "What is the one thing I must not abandon?" That question will lead us into the next part, because now that you understand why the work was delayed, you must separate the real assignment from every imitation. You must learn how to recognize the one work when it has been buried under years of noise. You must know the difference between a burden from God and a burden from guilt. You must know the difference between a gift that serves your calling and a gift that keeps you distracted. You must know why the same thought, the same ache, the same dream, the same conviction keeps returning across different seasons of your life. Because the real work is usually not as far away as you think. It is often hidden in what keeps coming back. It is hidden in the burden that will not leave. It is hidden in the gift that survived your hardest years. It is hidden in the obedience that scares you because it would require you to become serious. It is hidden in the thing you keep calling later. And chosen one, later is no longer allowed to steal what your spirit knows is now. The wall is still waiting. The work is still breathing. The assignment is still calling. And in the next part, we are going to name the signs that reveal what that work really is. So let us name what has been trying to name you. Because the real work is not always hidden, because God made it impossible to find. Sometimes it is hidden because your life became too loud to hear what was already speaking. Sometimes it is hidden under guilt. Sometimes it is hidden under fear. Sometimes it is hidden under other people's expectations. Sometimes it is hidden under the version of you that was trained to survive, not build. And sometimes, chosen one, the one work is not hidden at all. It is the thing you keep walking past. It is the thing you keep minimizing. It is the thing you keep saying you will return to when life becomes easier. It is the thing that keeps finding you in quiet moments, in tired moments, in prayerful moments, in painful moments, in moments when you can no longer lie to yourself. That is why this matters. Because the work you are called to finish will usually reveal itself in 3 places. Not in noise, not in pressure, not in panic, but in the burden that will not leave, the gift that survived every season, and the obedience that costs comfort. The first place your real work hides is in the burden that will not leave. I am not talking about anxiety. I am not talking about guilt. I am not talking about the pressure to become impressive. I am talking about a holy burden, a concern that keeps returning, a pain you cannot ignore, a problem you keep noticing, a group of people your heart keeps reaching toward, a message that keeps pressing against your chest, a broken thing in the world that seems to call your name differently than it calls other people. Others may see it and move on. You cannot. Others may hear about it and forget it. You carry it. Others may say, that is not my problem. But something in you says, I cannot pretend I do not see this. That burden is not always the full assignment, but it is often the doorway. Because sacred work often begins with holy disturbance. Something disturbs your spirit because you were meant to bring order there. Something grieves you because you were meant to carry healing there. Something angers you in a clean way because you were meant to confront a pattern there. Something keeps making you sensitive because you were meant to serve with wisdom there. Do not despise the burden, but also do not worship the burden. A burden must become obedience, or it becomes heaviness. If you only feel the burden but never build from it, it will crush you. If you only talk about the pain but never turn it into service, it will keep circling inside you. If you only notice what is broken but never ask what part you are called to repair, you will become exhausted by awareness without movement. The burden is not there to make you suffer endlessly. It is there to point you toward the work. So ask your spirit this, without rushing. What do I keep caring about, even when I try not to? What pain do I keep noticing? What problem do I keep returning to? What kind of person do I feel strangely assigned to help, guide, protect, awaken, build, or restore? That question may reveal more than another year of overthinking. The second place your real work hides is in the gift that survived every season. Chosen one, there is something in you that did not die. Life tried to bury it. People tried to mock it. Disappointment tried to silence it. Fear tried to shrink it. Delay tried to convince you it was too late. But somehow, it is still there. Maybe it is your voice. Maybe it is your ability to understand people. Maybe it is your discernment. Maybe it is your creativity. Maybe it is your capacity to teach. Maybe it is your ability to build systems where there was chaos. Maybe it is your gift for bringing peace into rooms. Maybe it is your gift for seeing patterns others miss. Maybe it is your ability to turn pain into language. Maybe it is your ability to create beauty after surviving ugliness. Maybe it is your ability to help others believe again after life has disappointed them. Look at what survived, not what impressed people, not what received applause, not what looked successful from the outside. Look at what stayed alive when nothing was feeding it. That is important, because the gift that survives the wilderness is often connected to the assignment that follows it. There are gifts that appear only when things are easy, and there are gifts that remain after fire. The gift that remains after fire is not entertainment. It is evidence. Evidence that something in you was placed deeper than circumstance. Evidence that the calling was not built on mood. Evidence that your life has been carrying a thread. Even when the story looked broken, your real work may not be the thing you are best at in a shallow way. It may be the thing that keeps producing life from you, even after seasons that should have made you silent. That is why you must stop saying, "I have nothing." You may not have everything. You may not have the full plan. You may not have the audience. You may not have the resources. You may not have the confidence. You may not have the clear timeline. But you have something that survived. And what survived is not small. The third place your real work hides is in the obedience that costs comfort. This is where many people turn away. Because a true assignment does not only inspire you, it requires you. It asks for your focus. It asks for your schedule. It asks for your maturity. It asks for your boundaries. It asks for your courage. It asks for your healing. It asks for your consistency when no one is clapping. It asks for your yes when fear offers you 100 reasons to wait. This is why your real work may scare you. Not because it is wrong, but because it is weighty. You do not feel that weight around every idea. You do not feel that trembling around every opportunity. You do not feel that holy seriousness around every path. But when you think about this one thing, something in you becomes quiet. You know it would change you. You know it would require a different level of order. You know it would expose the excuses you have been protecting. You know it would ask you to become the person you keep saying you want to be. That fear is not always a warning to run. Sometimes it is a sign that you are standing near something sacred. People tremble before what matters. They tremble before vows. They tremble before birth. They tremble before responsibility. They tremble before the door that closes an old life and opens a new one. So do not immediately assume fear means no. Ask what kind of fear it is. Is it the fear of destruction or the fear of responsibility? Is it the fear of danger or the fear of becoming disciplined? Is it the fear of deception or the fear of being seen? Is it the fear that protects wisdom or the fear that protects delay? Chosen one, your assignment will not always feel easy, but it will carry a deep rightness, a deep seriousness, a deep pull, a deep sense that your life becomes more honest when you stop running from it. Now let us make this clearer. There are signs that reveal when you have found the work. Not perfect proof, not a magical formula, but signs that help you discern what your spirit has been trying to say. The first sign is that the work keeps returning across seasons. You may leave it for a while. You may distract yourself. You may try another path. You may convince yourself it was just a phase. You may say you are too old, too late, too tired, too inexperienced, too unknown, too wounded, too busy. But then it returns. Different year, same pull. Different season, same burden. Different version of you, same quiet instruction. It may return through a conversation. It may return through a dream. It may return through someone else doing something that touches the same area. It may return when you are exhausted from doing things that do not satisfy your spirit. It may return in a moment of prayer. It may return in a moment of frustration. It may return when you are trying hardest not to think about it. That repetition matters, because not everything that returns is obsession. Sometimes what returns is assignment. Sometimes what returns is mercy. Sometimes what returns is the Father reminding you that the instruction has not expired. When something keeps returning with peace, weight, and correction, pay attention. The second sign is that it scares you in a weighty way, not a toxic way. There is a kind of fear that makes you feel smaller, darker, trapped, confused, and disconnected from peace. That fear needs discernment. But there is another kind of fear that feels like standing before a responsibility that matters. It does not make you feel dirty. It makes you feel sober. It does not make you feel destroyed. It makes you feel summoned. It does not steal all peace. It places a serious peace underneath the trembling. That is the fear many called people feel. Moses trembled. Esther faced a moment bigger than her comfort. Nehemiah had to rebuild while opposition watched. Many people in sacred stories did not feel ready when they were called. Readiness was not the starting point. Obedience was. So when the work scares you, do not only ask, "Am I afraid?" Ask, "What is this fear protecting?" If it is protecting your wisdom, listen. If it is protecting your laziness, confront it. If it is protecting your humility, honor it. If it is protecting your excuses, release it. The third sign is that the work requires the healed version of you. Your assignment may touch the same place where you were wounded, not because God wants you to bleed in public, but because what healed in you can become shelter for someone else. The one who survived rejection may carry a voice that helps others stop begging for approval. The one who survived betrayal may carry discernment that helps others recognize false peace. The one who survived silence may carry language for people who cannot name their pain. The one who survived instability may build structures that give others safety. The one who survived confusion may become a guide into clarity. But hear this carefully. Your wound is not the assignment. Your healed wisdom is. Pain alone does not qualify a person. Transformed pain does. Bitterness is not a ministry. Healing is. Revenge is not purpose. Restoration is. Attention is not calling. Service is. So if the work requires you to keep healing, keep maturing, keep forgiving, keep becoming stable, that may be a sign that it is connected to your real assignment. Because true calling does not only use your gift, it forms your character. The fourth sign is that the work serves more than your ego. It may bless you. It may open doors. It may bring provision one day. It may bring recognition in the right time. But that is not the deepest root. The deepest root is service. The work reaches beyond your need to be admired. It reaches into people. It brings order. It brings truth. It brings healing. It brings clarity. It builds something useful. It restores something broken. It speaks to someone who feels unseen. It opens a path for someone who is trapped. It creates something that did not exist before. This is one way to test the work. If the only reason you want it is to be seen, be careful. But if being seen is the cost you must accept so the work can serve others, that is different. Some chosen ones do not crave attention. They actually fear it. But their assignment may still require visibility in some form. Not visibility for ego, visibility for service. A lamp is not placed on a stand because the lamp is arrogant. It is placed there because someone needs light. The fifth sign is that the work explains why certain pain had to be transformed. When you look at the assignment, parts of your life begin to make sense. Not everything, not every wound, not every mystery, but enough to see a pattern. You begin to understand why you had to learn discernment. You begin to understand why you had to become patient. You begin to understand why certain relationships exposed your old wounds. You begin to understand why you had to lose the need to be understood by everyone. You begin to understand why you had to learn how to stand alone. You begin to understand why you had to become quieter, deeper, stronger, more focused. The work becomes a kind of mirror. It shows you that the pain was not good, but it can become useful. It shows you that what happened to you does not have to define you, but it can train your compassion. It shows you that God can take what tried to break you and turn it into a tool that helps rebuild someone else. This does not mean every wound was sent by God. Do not confuse evil with assignment. But it does mean nothing surrendered to God has to remain wasted. The sixth sign is that the work demands focus, not frenzy. False assignments often make you frantic. They make you rush. They make you compare. They make you feel like if you do not move now, you will lose everything. They make you chase every door. They make you panic when someone else moves faster. They make you believe speed is the same as obedience. But the real work often demands something deeper: focus, order, daily faithfulness, a protected rhythm, a willingness to build without constantly checking who is watching, a willingness to do the unglamorous part, a willingness to repeat the small brick until the wall begins to stand. The real work may not always make you feel excited, but it will make you feel responsible. It may not always give you emotional fireworks, but it will give you direction. It may not always entertain your ego, but it will strengthen your spirit. This is important because many people abandon their assignment when it stops feeling dramatic. But sacred work is not sustained by drama. It is sustained by devotion. The seventh sign is that the work helps you rank everything else. This is one of the clearest signs. When the real assignment becomes clear, other things find their place. Some things become obvious, some things become later. Some things become supportive. Some things become distractions. Some things become temporary. Some things become unnecessary. Before clarity, every opportunity feels urgent. After clarity, you begin to see what belongs. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" and start asking, "Is this connected?" You stop asking, "Will people like this?" and start asking, "Is this faithful?" You stop asking, "What will make me look successful?" and start asking, "What will help me finish?" That is order. And order is one of the first fruits of true assignment. Now, I want to bring this even deeper. In the language of ancient scripture, work is not only labor. It is not only effort. It is not only what a person does to survive. There is a word often used for work that carries the sense of action, deed, task, and what is brought forth through a life. It is not just activity. It is fruit made visible. It is what obedience becomes when it takes form. That matters, because many people think their work is simply what keeps them busy. But sacred work is different. Sacred work is what you have been entrusted to bring forth. A steward does not own the house, but the steward is responsible for what was placed in his care. A builder does not create the ground, but the builder is responsible for the wall assigned to his hands. A messenger does not invent the truth, but the messenger is responsible for speaking what was entrusted to their mouth. A healer does not own the grace, but the healer is responsible for becoming clean enough to carry it wisely. A bridge does not create the two sides, but the bridge is responsible for standing where connection is needed. So the question is not only, "What can I do?" The question is, "What have I been entrusted to bring forth? What has been placed in my care? What truth has been placed in my mouth? What burden has been placed in my spirit? What gift has been placed in my hands? What wall has been placed before me?" Because one day, the measure will not be how many things you touched. It will be whether you were faithful with what was assigned. And I say this gently, but directly. Some of you have been asking for a bigger assignment while neglecting the one already in your hands. You have been asking for more influence while avoiding the discipline required for the influence you already have. You have been asking for more resources while misusing the first strength you already carry. You have been asking for clearer signs while ignoring the repeated instruction that has been knocking on your spirit for years. And I hear this as a correction, not a condemnation. It is as if the Father is saying, "My child, I did not place that work in your hands so you would keep calling it later. I did not bring it back to your heart again and again so you would bury it under fear. I did not give you many gifts so you would abandon the one assignment that requires your obedience. Return to what I gave you. Return to the wall. Return to the work. Chosen one, let those words search you, not frighten you. Search you, because there is a kind of conviction that does not crush. It clarifies. It does not say, "You are worthless." It says, "You are responsible." It does not say, "You are too late." It says, "You must stop delaying." It does not say, you missed everything. It says, return now. And now that the work is becoming clearer, you must test it. Because not every burden is from God. Some burdens come from guilt. Not every desire is assignment. Some desires come from the wound of wanting to be admired. Not every opportunity is direction. Some opportunities come to measure whether you can be pulled away from focus. So the work must pass through 3 tests. The first test is the peace test. This does not mean the work is easy. This does not mean it never stretches you. This does not mean you always feel excited. This does not mean there is no fear. The peace test asks something deeper. When you imagine obeying this work, is there a quiet steadiness beneath the fear? Does something in your spirit settle, even while your mind has questions? Does the thought of finally returning to it make you feel more honest? Does it bring you back to yourself? In a way, false assignments never do. Does it feel like order, even if it also feels challenging? Peace is not always comfort. Sometimes peace is the quiet certainty that you are standing in the right hard thing. False peace says, stay comfortable. True peace says, this will cost you, but it is right. False peace keeps you asleep. True peace makes you sober and steady. False peace avoids responsibility. True peace gives you strength to carry it. So do not only ask whether the work feels easy. Ask whether it feels aligned. The second test is the fruit test. What does this work produce in you and through you? Does it produce more truth, more healing, more order, more courage, more wisdom, more compassion, more discipline, more clarity, more service? Does it make you more honest or more performative? Does it make you more grounded or more frantic? Does it strengthen your spirit or inflate your ego? Does it help others breathe, see, heal, build, return, or rise? Fruit matters because sacred work bears fruit beyond emotion. A fantasy can produce excitement. A wound can produce intensity. An ego desire can produce hunger. A comparison can produce urgency. But an assignment produces fruit. Not always immediately. Not always publicly. Not always dramatically. But over time, the fruit appears. People receive clarity. Order increases. Wisdom deepens. Your character grows. Your life begins to align around it. And even when it is hard, something good is being formed. The third test is the cost test. This may sound strange, but listen. A true assignment will usually cost something. Not because God is cruel, but because anything sacred must be protected from the version of you that wants results without surrender. The work may cost your comfort. It may cost your excuses. It may cost some availability. It may cost the old pattern of saying yes to everyone. It may cost the identity of being endlessly needed. It may cost your addiction to approval. It may cost your relationship with distraction. It may cost your habit of hiding behind preparation. It may cost your desire to be understood by everyone. But the cost is not there to punish you. It is there to separate you from what cannot carry the assignment. This is why you should not immediately reject a path, because it requires maturity. Sometimes the cost is the confirmation. Not every cost, but the right cost. The cost that makes you more faithful. The cost that makes you more ordered. The cost that makes you more truthful. The cost that makes you more available to God and less enslaved to noise. That cost may be part of the calling. Chosen one. If the work carries peace, produces fruit, and requires a holy cost, do not ignore it. You may not have the full plan, but you have enough to stop pretending you know nothing. And this is where the revelation begins to build. You are not confused because you lack gifts. You are confused because you have many possible directions, and you have been trying to treat them all as equal. But they are not equal in this season. Some gifts are supportive. One assignment is primary. Some opportunities are useful. One work must be first. Some responsibilities are real. One responsibility carries the deepest spiritual weight right now. Some doors may open. One door will organize the others. That is the revelation. Your gifts are many, but your first assignment is not many. Your ideas are many, but your first obedience is not many. Your possibilities are many, but your first work is not many. God is not calling you into scattered greatness. He is calling you into ordered faithfulness. And ordered faithfulness will do more through your life than scattered talent ever could. You may have been trying to become impressive in many directions, but the next season is not asking you to be impressive. It is asking you to be faithful in one direction long enough for fruit to form. The work you finish first will organize the rest of your life. Not because it solves every problem instantly, not because it makes life easy, not because it removes all responsibility, but because completion creates authority. When you finish what you were avoiding, something changes in you. You stop seeing yourself as someone who only dreams. You become someone who builds. You stop trusting only inspiration. You begin trusting stewardship. You stop asking every day if you are called. You start living like a person who has accepted the call. You stop scattering your energy to escape the weight. You begin carrying the weight with order. And this is the deeper truth. Your only job from now on is not to do everything. Your only job is to obey the next faithful step of the assignment God keeps returning to your hands. Return to the work. When fear says, wait until you are ready, return to the work. When guilt says everyone else must come first, return to the work. When distraction offers something easier, return to the work. When comparison tells you someone else is ahead, return to the work. When shame reminds you of how long you delayed, return to the work. When perfectionism says the first brick must be flawless, return to the work. When people misunderstand your focus, return to the work. When the old identity asks you to become available to chaos again, return to the work. That is the phrase your spirit must carry. Return to the work. Not with panic, not with self-hatred, not with dramatic vows you cannot sustain. Return quietly. Return honestly. Return daily. Return with the little strength you have. Return with the wisdom the wilderness gave you. Return with the scars that have become discernment. Return with the voice that survived silence. Return with the gift that did not die. Return with the courage to be unfinished and still obedient. Because the work is not asking for a fantasy version of you. It is asking for the faithful version of you. The version who can place one brick today. The version who can say no to what drains the assignment. The version who can stop confusing delay with preparation. The version who can stop treating fear like a prophet. The version who can accept that being chosen is not only comfort, it is responsibility. And now, chosen one, the question changes. It is no longer only, what is the work? Now the question becomes, how do you finish it? How do you stop being pulled back into the old pattern? How do you protect your first strength? How do you know which opportunities deserve a yes and which ones are only distractions with beautiful language? How do you stop coming down from your wall every time someone calls your name? How do you build when your mind has been trained by years of survival? How do you become consistent without crushing yourself with shame? That is where we go next, because recognizing the assignment is powerful. But recognition alone does not finish the wall. A burden does not finish the wall. A dream does not finish the wall. A sign does not finish the wall. A confirmation does not finish the wall. The wall is finished by ordered obedience, by protected focus, by sacred no, by daily bricks, by a mind and spirit brought back into alignment. You have named the work. Now you must learn how to finish it without losing yourself to the noise again. So this is where the work becomes practical, because a calling that never becomes practical will eventually become pain. It will sit inside you as pressure. It will become a quiet ache. It will become frustration toward yourself. It will become resentment toward people who keep pulling from you. It will become sadness when you see others building while you keep delaying. And that is not what the assignment was meant to become. A calling is not meant to torture you. It is meant to organize you. It is meant to gather your scattered strength and teach it where to go. It is meant to turn your burden into structure, your pain into wisdom, your gift into service, and your obedience into something that can actually stand. So now the question is not only, what is the work? The question is, how do you finish it? How do you protect the first strength that belongs to the assignment? How do you know what deserves a yes and what is only another beautiful distraction? How do you stop coming down from your wall every time guilt, fear, need, pressure, or old identity calls your name? How do you build when your mind has been trained by survival? How do you become consistent without turning discipline into self-hatred? Chosen one. This is where you must learn order. Not harshness, order. Not coldness, order. Not isolation, order. Not control, order. Because the work does not need a panicked version of you. The work does not need a dramatic vow that lasts one night. The work does not need you to shame yourself into movement. The work needs your ordered yes. The kind of yes that can survive Monday. The kind of yes that still exists when the feeling fades. The kind of yes that does not depend on everyone understanding. The kind of yes that knows what belongs and what does not. So I want to give you a simple inner filter for this season. Call it the one work filter. You do not need to write it down. You do not need to stop what you are doing. Just let these questions pass through your spirit, like light moving through a window. When something asks for your energy, ask this first. Does this connect to the assignment that keeps returning? Not, is this interesting? Not, will people approve? Not, does this make me feel needed? Not, could this become impressive? Does this connect to the assignment that keeps returning? Because many things can be interesting and still not be assigned. Many things can be impressive and still not be yours. Many things can make people praise you and still pull you away from the work. The second question is this: does this require the person I am becoming, or does it feed the person I used to be? That question will expose a lot, because some opportunities feed the old you, the one who needed approval, the one who wanted to prove worth, the one who said yes out of fear, the one who confused pressure with purpose, the one who believed being needed was the same as being loved. But the real assignment will usually require the person you are becoming, the one with clearer boundaries, the one with deeper faith, the one with quieter strength, the one who does not need to perform pain to be believed, the one who can be misunderstood and still remain steady. The third question is this: does this create order, fruit, service, or truth? Because the work you are called to finish will not only create movement, it will create fruit. It will bring something into order. It will serve someone beyond your ego. It will tell the truth in some form. It will build, repair, clarify, protect, guide, restore, teach, or awaken. If something only creates noise, urgency, drama, and scattered emotion, be careful. Not everything that moves you is meant to lead you. The fourth question is this: if I give this my first strength, will the rest of my life become clearer or more confused? That is a powerful question, because real assignment organizes. False assignment multiplies confusion. Real assignment may stretch you, but it creates a deeper order. False assignment may excite you, but it leaves you more scattered. Real assignment gathers your energy. False assignment spends it. Real assignment makes your no clearer. False assignment makes every yes feel urgent. So before you give your first strength to a person, a project, a conversation, a plan, a door, or an idea, let it pass through the one work filter. Does this connect to the assignment that keeps returning? Does this require the person I am becoming? Does this create order, fruit, service, or truth? If I give this my first strength, will my life become clearer or more confused? Chosen one, this is not about becoming narrow in a fearful way. This is about becoming narrow in a fruitful way. A river becomes powerful because it has banks. Without banks, water spreads everywhere and becomes a flood. With banks, it gains direction. Your boundaries are not there to limit your gift. They are there to give your gift direction. Your focus is not there to make your life smaller. It is there to make your obedience stronger. Your no is not there to make you selfish. It is there to protect the yes that God has been asking from you. And this is why you need the sacred no. Not a bitter no, not a wounded no, not a prideful no, not a no that punishes people because you finally feel tired. A sacred no, a clean no, a quiet no, a no that comes from order, not anger. A no that says, I can love you without abandoning what has been placed in my hands. For many of you, this will be one of the hardest parts of finishing the work, because the old you learned to survive by being available to explain, available to rescue, available to answer, available to absorb, available to apologize even when you did nothing wrong, available to soften the truth so other people would not feel discomfort, available to make yourself smaller so the room could remain familiar. But the assignment cannot be built by a person who is available to every distraction. So the sacred no begins with seeing the pull. When something pulls on you, do not answer it immediately inside yourself. Pause inwardly, not physically, inwardly. Let your spirit look at the pull before your mouth gives it permission. Ask, what is trying to pull me right now? Is it guilt? Is it fear? Is it old loyalty? Is it the need to be liked? Is it the habit of being the strong one? Is it the fear that if I say no, they will leave? Is it the fear that if I protect my focus, I am becoming selfish? Name the pull, because what you cannot name will keep controlling you. Then ask the next question. What will this yes cost my assignment? Not only what will it cost my time, what will it cost my clarity? What will it cost my peace? What will it cost my first strength? What will it cost the work that is already waiting for me? Some yeses look small, but they take the best part of you. A short conversation can steal the emotional clarity you needed to build. A small compromise can reopen a pattern you were almost free from. A quick distraction can become a whole day of scattered attention. An old obligation can pull you back into the identity God has been trying to deliver you from. So count the cost, not with fear, with stewardship. Then give a clean answer, not a speech, not a defense, not an emotional courtroom where you try to prove you are still a good person. A clean answer, a kind answer, a firm answer, a clear answer, because over-explaining often means you are still asking for permission. And this season, you are not asking false assignments for permission to obey the true one. You are allowed to protect your focus. You are allowed to outgrow old access. You are allowed to become less available to chaos. You are allowed to say no without building a legal case for your boundary. You are allowed to disappoint expectations that were never assigned to you. You are allowed to protect what God is building in you. You are allowed to stop calling self-abandonment love. And you do not owe everyone an apology for becoming faithful to the work. But after the no, you must do something important. Return immediately to the work. This is where many people lose the power of the boundary. They say no to one distraction, then give that saved energy to another distraction. They refuse one draining conversation, then spend the next hour replaying it in their mind. They create space, then fill it with fear. They protect time, then waste it in avoidance. But a sacred no is not complete until your energy returns to the assignment. So imagine it like this. Every no pulls a piece of your strength back from the wrong place. But that strength must be placed somewhere. Do not let it float. Do not let it leak into overthinking. Do not let it turn into guilt. Place it back on the wall, even if the action is small, even if it is only one brick, even if it is only one moment of focus, even if it is only one honest decision. The no protects the yes. The yes builds the work. Now, after the filter and the sacred no, you need a map for completion, because clarity without structure becomes emotion, and emotion alone will not finish the wall. Call this the completion map. The first movement is to define the wall. You cannot finish what you refuse to define. Many chosen ones keep the assignment vague because vague feels safe. If the work stays vague, you can keep saying you are preparing. If the dream stays vague, you can keep imagining it without being responsible for it. If the calling stays vague, you can keep feeling spiritual without becoming disciplined. But completion requires definition. So inwardly ask this: what exactly is the wall in this season? Not the whole life, not the entire future, not every dream you have ever carried. This season, what is the work that must receive your first strength now? Is it a message that must be formed? Is it a body of work that must be built? Is it a healing process that must become consistent? Is it a structure that must be created? Is it a decision that must finally be made? Is it a gift that must be trained? Is it a calling that must move from imagination into practice? Define the wall, because the enemy of completion is often not weakness, it is vagueness. The second movement is to remove the rubble. Every wall has rubble around it. Old habits, old fears, old emotional agreements, old relationships with distraction, old places where your energy keeps leaking, old beliefs that say you are not ready, old patterns that make you start strong and disappear when the work gets quiet. Do not curse yourself for the rubble. Just recognize it. A builder does not stand before rubble and say, "I am a failure because this exists." A builder says, "This must be cleared so the wall can rise." So ask yourself inwardly, what keeps covering the work? Is it fear? Is it perfectionism? Is it exhaustion? Is it constant availability? Is it distraction? Is it comparison? Is it a relationship that keeps pulling you back into an old identity? Is it the belief that if you cannot do it perfectly, you should not do it at all? Whatever it is, name the rubble. Then stop pretending it is part of the wall. The third movement is to lay daily bricks. This is where the calling becomes real. Not in one dramatic moment, not in one emotional breakthrough, not in one night of inspiration. Daily bricks. A faithful brick when you feel strong. A faithful brick when you feel uncertain. A faithful brick when no one is watching. A faithful brick when the old pattern asks for your attention. A faithful brick when the work feels ordinary. A faithful brick when you want to start something new just to avoid the thing that requires consistency. A brick can be small, but it must be real. It must move the wall forward. It must not be imaginary obedience. It must not be only thinking about the work. It must not be only talking about the work. It must not be only researching the work. It must not be only praying about the work while refusing the next clear step. Prayer matters, but prayer is not a substitute for obedience. Reflection matters, but reflection is not a substitute for construction. Preparation matters, but preparation is not a substitute for placing the brick. Chosen one, you do not need to finish the whole wall today, but you must stop living as if the wall will build itself. The fourth movement is to guard the gate. Every assignment has a gate. The gate is the place where things enter your attention. Your conversations, your thoughts, your morning energy, your emotional space, your imagination, your environment, your inner agreement. If the gate is unguarded, the wall will always be interrupted. This does not mean you become paranoid. It means you become conscious. You stop letting every voice enter. You stop letting every crisis command you. You stop letting every fear narrate your day. You stop letting every person with access become a person with authority. Access is not authority. Just because someone can reach you does not mean they are assigned to direct you. Just because a thought enters your mind does not mean it deserves a throne. Just because an opportunity appears does not mean it carries instruction. Guard the gate. Let peace enter. Let truth enter. Let correction enter. Let wisdom enter. Let the right people enter. Let the right responsibilities enter. But do not let chaos sit in the center of your assignment and call it normal. The fifth movement is to finish before expanding. This is the one that will test many of you, because expansion can become another form of avoidance. A new idea feels exciting because it has not yet required endurance. A new door feels attractive because it has not yet exposed your patterns. A new plan feels clean because you have not yet had to be consistent with it. But unfinished walls do not become stronger because you start 10 more walls. Finish before expanding. Let completion create authority. Let one finished work teach your spirit that you can be trusted. Let one completed assignment break the identity of almost started, almost finished, almost committed, almost consistent, almost ready, almost obedient. No, this is not the season of almost. This is the season of completion, not completion of your entire life. Completion of the work assigned to this season. Now, there is a sacred picture that belongs here. Think of Nehemiah rebuilding the wall. He was not simply doing construction. He was restoring protection. He was restoring identity. He was restoring order. He was restoring what had been broken down. And while he was building, voices tried to pull him away. Invitations came. Pressure came. Mockery came. Distraction came. The temptation was not always to stop forever. Sometimes the temptation was just to come down for a moment. Just pause the work. Just answer the distraction. Just explain yourself. Just meet with the voices that were trying to delay you. But his strength was not only that he could build. His strength was that he refused to come down. That is a word for you. Some of your power in this season will not be measured by what you start. It will be measured by what you refuse to come down for. Not every message deserves your dissent. Not every argument deserves your dissent. Not every misunderstanding deserves your dissent. Not every invitation deserves your dissent. Not every opportunity deserves your dissent. Not every emotional pull deserves your dissent. There will be times when the most spiritual thing you can say is, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. Not in pride, in stewardship, not in anger, in order, not in rejection, in obedience. Because if you keep coming down from the wall every time someone calls, the wall will remain unfinished, and the same people who distracted you may later ask why nothing changed. Do not come down. Build with humility. Build with patience. Build with prayer. Build with courage. Build while being misunderstood. Build while your hands still remember trembling. Build while the old identity loses its power. Build until the wall begins to stand. But now we must talk about something deeper, because some of you hear all of this, and part of you feels ready, but another part of you feels scattered. You want to focus, but your mind keeps breaking apart. You want to obey, but your thoughts keep running in 10 directions. You want to finish, but your nervous system has been trained by stress, pressure, urgency, disappointment, and survival. And that matters, because the answer is not always more pressure. Sometimes you do not need another motivational speech. Sometimes you do not need to condemn yourself again. Sometimes you do not need to force your mind harder. Sometimes the instrument itself needs recalibration. Think of a radio. The message may be clear, the signal may be present, but if the radio is stuck on static, everything sounds broken. That does not mean the signal is absent. It means the receiver is not tuned. In the same way, many chosen ones are not lacking calling. They are not lacking gifts. They are not lacking divine instruction. But their inner system has been living in survival for so long that clarity feels like static. Prayer feels scattered. Focus feels heavy. Obedience feels delayed. The work is real, but the mind feels fogged. This is why I told you earlier that spiritual clarity is not only about desire, it is also connected to the state you are living from. When your mind is trained by fear, every assignment feels threatening. When your mind is trained by distraction, every quiet instruction feels boring. When your mind is trained by survival, even a sacred opportunity can feel like danger. And this is where some people misunderstand themselves. They say, I must not be called because I cannot focus. They say, I must not be ready because I feel scattered. They say, I must not be spiritual enough because I cannot stay clear. But maybe the issue is not that you are not called. Maybe the issue is that your inner frequency has been pulled out of alignment for too long. This is where I want to mention something gently. There is a reason certain states of the brain are connected to creativity, insight, focus, and what people often describe as flow. There is a reason moments of clarity feel different from moments of survival. There is a reason children can sometimes learn, imagine, create, and receive with a freedom adults lose after years of stress and conditioning. The mind can become trained into noise, but it can also be trained back toward clarity. And there is a simple tool I came across that was created for this exact kind of inner recalibration. It is called the Genius Song. It is not a magic replacement for obedience. It will not finish your assignment for you. It will not make the wall rise without your daily bricks. But it was designed as a 7-minute audio track that you listen to with headphones, built around brain entrainment and the activation of gamma brainwave states, which are often associated with heightened focus, insight, learning, and flow. The way I want you to understand it is simple. Imagine your mind has been like a radio stuck between stations. You can sense the instruction. You can feel the calling. You know the work is there. But there is static, fear static, stress static, old identity static, survival static. The Genius Song is presented as a tool to help tune the inner receiver again, not by forcing, not by hours of complicated practice, but through a 7-minute sound experience designed to help bring the brain toward a clearer state. And for a chosen one, that matters, because many of you remember a version of yourself that felt sharper, more creative, more intuitive, more alive, more connected. Maybe when you were younger, ideas came naturally. Learning felt easier. Your imagination felt open. Your spirit felt sensitive. Then life happened. Pressure happened. Disappointment happened. Systems happened. Survival happened. And slowly, something in you began to feel dimmed. Not gone, dimmed. That is why this tool resonates with the message today. Because the work you are called to finish requires clarity. It requires focus. It requires the ability to hear the quiet instruction beneath the noise. It requires your mind and spirit to stop living as if everything is an emergency. There is a story connected to this that stayed with me. A teacher in her 40s had spent years helping other people grow, while privately feeling like her own mind was running far beneath its real capacity. She described it like living at 30%, not broken, not hopeless, just fogged. After using the 7-minute audio consistently, she said ideas began returning in a way she had not felt for years. Decisions she had delayed began to feel clearer. The point is not that an audio track replaces character. It does not. The point is that sometimes the mind needs support coming out of the fog so the spirit can obey with more clarity. And I know what some of you may be thinking. You have tried many things. You have tried motivation. You have tried spiritual practices. You have tried forcing yourself to focus. You have tried starting over again and again. So you may wonder if this is just another thing that sounds good. That is fair. Discernment is healthy, but this is not being presented here as hype. It is being presented as a tool, a support, a possible recalibration point for those who feel led to explore it. Traditional methods connected to brain training and biofeedback can cost hundreds of dollars per session, and some devices can cost thousands. The Genius Song takes this concept and places it into a simple 7-minute audio track for home use. The original price is listed at $49, but through the link provided for this message, it is currently offered for $39, and with it, there are 4 bonuses included. 1 is an audio track created to support focus and confidence in children. 1 is a classic book connected to the deeper principles of prosperity and thought. One is a guided visualization for imagining a more aligned life in money, love, health, and happiness. And one is an infographic with 5 important habits for creating the future you want. It also comes with a money-back guarantee. So if you explore it and feel it is not for you, you are not locked into it. That matters because trust matters. And I want to be clear. Do not use any tool as an excuse to avoid obedience. Do not buy something and then refuse to place the brick. Do not listen for 7 minutes and then return to the same distractions without changing your yes and your no. The tool can support clarity, but you must still steward the work. Also, be careful where you look for it. There are imitations and fake versions using similar names, and those may only be ordinary sounds without the intended brain entrainment technology, without the bonuses, and without the guarantee. The safest way to explore the original is through the link placed in the pinned comment and description. Do not search randomly and assume every version is the real one. Only investigate it if your spirit feels drawn to it. No pressure, no force, no fear, just discernment. And if it resonates, let it serve the larger assignment. Let it become part of your return to clarity, part of your return to focus, part of your return to the work. Because tool or no tool, the deeper truth remains the same. You still have a wall to build. You still have a sacred no to practice. You still have a filter to apply. You still have rubble to clear. You still have daily bricks to place. You still have a gate to guard. You still have to finish before expanding. And this is where your identity begins to change. Because the moment you stop treating the assignment as a feeling and start treating it as stewardship, you become different. You no longer wait to feel inspired every day. You become faithful. You no longer treat every distraction like an emergency. You become discerning. You no longer give your first strength to whoever asks first. You become ordered. You no longer need everyone to approve your focus. You become anchored. You no longer say, "One day I will build." You begin building, and even if the first day is small, heaven respects the returned yes. Even if the brick is small, it is still a brick. Even if the movement is quiet, it is still obedience. Even if no one sees it, it is still real. Imagine a chosen one who spent years carrying many ideas, but finishing none. Every new idea felt exciting at first. Every new possibility looked like the answer. But when the work became quiet, when consistency was required, when applause did not arrive quickly, he moved to something else. Again and again, he started. Again and again, he scattered. Again and again, he told himself he was just exploring. But deep down, he knew one wall had been waiting the whole time. So one day, he stopped chasing every new thing. He chose one work. For 40 days, he gave it his first strength. Not all day, not perfectly, but first. When guilt called, he did not come down. When distraction called, he did not come down. When a new idea tried to flatter him, he did not come down. When old people expected old access, he did not come down. And by the end, the miracle was not only that the work had moved forward. The miracle was that he had become someone different. He proved himself in silence before he asked to be seen in public. That is what completion does. It changes the builder. It teaches your spirit that you can be trusted. It breaks the identity of almost. It gives you evidence that you are not only a dreamer, you are a steward, you are a builder, you are a finisher. Chosen one, this is the kind of shift that is trying to happen in you now. Not a loud shift, a deep one, the kind where your yes becomes cleaner, your no becomes calmer, your focus becomes stronger, your spirit becomes less available to chaos, your life becomes less controlled by other people's urgency. Your assignment begins receiving the part of you it should have received a long time ago. And that is why the next part matters. Because finishing the work is not only about the work. It is about who you become when you finish it. When you complete the one thing God has placed in your hands for this season, something begins to reorganize. Your relationships reorganize. Your purpose reorganizes. Your provision begins to find order around your obedience. Your identity shifts from scattered to commissioned, and you stop asking the world to tell you who you are. The work begins to reveal who you have become. You are not just finishing a project. You are not just completing a task. You are not just becoming more disciplined. You are becoming the kind of person who can be trusted with the next assignment. And that is where we are going next. Because this is not the end of the message. This is the doorway into commissioning. The wall is before you. The work has been named. The tools have been placed in your hands. The distractions have been exposed. The old pattern has been confronted. Now you must understand what happens when you truly finish the one work, and why from now on, this is your only job. Because when you truly finish the one work, something changes. Not only around you, inside you. The world may not recognize it immediately. People may not clap the first day. The results may not arrive with thunder. But something deep in you will know. I am no longer the person who only carries a burden. I am no longer the person who only talks about the dream. I am no longer the person who keeps circling the wall without building it. I am no longer the person who calls delay wisdom when it is really fear. I am no longer the person who gives the best part of my strength to everything except the thing I was sent to finish. Something changes when you complete what you have been avoiding. Your spirit begins to trust you again. That is a sentence you need to hear. Your spirit begins to trust you again. Because every time you make a promise to the work and abandon it, something inside you remembers. Every time you say, I will begin tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes another hiding place, something inside you loses confidence. Every time you let distraction pull you down from the wall, something inside you grieves. Not because you are worthless, because you know you are capable of more obedience than you have been giving. But when you return to the work, and you keep returning, even in small ways, your spirit begins to believe you again. You begin to become a safe place for your own calling. You begin to become someone your assignment can rest on. You begin to become someone God can trust with more. Not because you became perfect, but because you became faithful. Completion creates authority, not the loud kind, not the arrogant kind, not the kind that needs to announce itself, the quiet kind, the kind that comes from evidence, the kind that says, I did what I said I would do. I stayed with the work when it became difficult. I did not abandon the wall because someone called my name. I did not let guilt control my yes. I did not let fear control my no. I did not let the old identity decide the future. I returned to the work. And that kind of authority cannot be faked. It is built, brick by brick, choice by choice, boundary by boundary, day by day, chosen one. When you finish the one work assigned to this season, your life begins to reorganize. Not all at once, not always in a dramatic way, but truly. Your relationships begin to reorganize. Your purpose begins to reorganize. Your provision begins to reorganize. Your identity begins to reorganize. Because order in one sacred area begins exposing disorder everywhere else. This is why finishing the work can feel uncomfortable at first. It does not only complete something, it reveals things. It reveals who respects your focus. It reveals who only respected your availability. It reveals which opportunities are aligned. It reveals which ones were only flattering your old need to be chosen. It reveals what habits were supporting your assignment. It reveals what habits were quietly stealing from it. It reveals the difference between people who love you and people who love access to you. That revelation can be painful, but it is also mercy, because clarity may cost comfort, but confusion costs destiny. Let us talk about your relationships first. When you return to the work, access will change. Not because you become cold, not because you become proud, not because you no longer care, but because your first strength will no longer be available to every voice that asks for it. Some people will feel that change immediately. They may not have language for it. They may not understand it. They may simply feel that you are no longer as easy to pull. You no longer respond to every emotional storm. You no longer over-explain every boundary. You no longer abandon your focus to prove loyalty. You no longer treat their urgency as your assignment. And this may make some people uncomfortable, because the old version of you made them comfortable. The old version of you came down from the wall. The old version of you explained until you were exhausted. The old version of you apologized for needing space. The old version of you said yes even when your spirit was saying no. The old version of you let other people's chaos become the center of your day. But that version is not leading anymore. And when that version stops leading, some relationships will be tested. Do not panic. A relationship that can only survive your self-abandonment was never truly built on love. A connection that can only stay peaceful when you have no boundaries is not peace. A person who punishes your focus may have been benefiting from your confusion. This does not mean you judge them. It means you discern. It means you stop making guilt your shepherd. It means you let the right connections reveal themselves by how they respond to your obedience. The right people may not understand every detail of your assignment, but they will respect the seriousness of it. They will not need constant access to believe you love them. They will not demand that you come down from the wall every time they feel uncomfortable. They will not compete with what God is building in you. They will not mock the season that is making you more focused. They will not call your growth arrogance simply because your availability changed. They may ask questions. They may need time. But they will not require you to abandon the work to prove your heart. So when relationships shift, do not immediately assume you did something wrong. Ask a deeper question. Is this relationship being damaged by my obedience? Or is my obedience revealing what this relationship was built on? That question will save you, because some connections will deepen when you become focused. Some will weaken. Some will fade. Some will be restored later in a healthier form. Some will be released completely. Let God order access. Let God order closeness. Let God order distance. Let God order the people around the work. You do not have to force everyone to understand your season. You only have to remain faithful within it. Now, let us talk about your purpose. When you finish the one work, purpose stops being a cloud and starts becoming a path. Before, everything may have felt possible, and that sounds exciting, but too many possibilities without order can become a prison. You can have so many directions that you never walk deeply in one. You can have so many ideas that you never finish the one that matters. You can have so many gifts that you never allow one assignment to mature. But when the one work becomes first, your purpose begins to sharpen. You stop being impressed by every open door. You stop measuring your life by the number of options. You stop asking, could I do this? And you start asking, is this faithful to what has been placed in my hands? That is maturity, because a child wants every option. A steward wants the right assignment. A scattered person chases motion. A commissioned person follows instruction. A wounded person wants to be seen everywhere. A healed person is willing to be hidden where obedience is happening. And this is what happens when purpose becomes ordered. Your yes becomes cleaner. Your no becomes calmer. Your schedule becomes more honest. Your attention becomes more expensive. Your spirit becomes harder to manipulate. You become less impressed by noise. You become more sensitive to peace. You begin to know when something is aligned, not because it flatters you, but because it fits the work. You begin to know when something is a distraction, not because it is bad, but because it is not first. This is one of the greatest freedoms in the world, knowing what is not yours. Because when you do not know what is yours, everything feels like a possibility. And when everything feels like a possibility, everything can become a distraction. But when you know the work, you can bless other paths without walking them. You can celebrate other people's assignments without copying them. You can respect other opportunities without chasing them. You can say, that is good, but it is not mine. That is powerful, chosen one. That is not limitation. That is order. Now let us talk about provision. And I want to speak carefully here, because many people hear provision and immediately think only of money. Provision can include money. It can include resources. It can include opportunities. It can include people. It can include time. It can include wisdom. It can include strategy. It can include protection. It can include strength. It can include the right door at the right moment. But provision is not only about receiving more. Sometimes provision begins with order, because disorder wastes what provision sends. A scattered life can receive resources and still leak them. A distracted person can receive opportunities and still misuse them. A fearful heart can receive a door and still hesitate at the threshold. A person addicted to approval can receive a calling and still spend it trying to impress the wrong people. So sometimes God does not withhold provision because He is against you. Sometimes He waits until order can hold what provision brings. Think of it like rain. Rain can bless a planted field, but if the ground is unprepared, rain can also create mud. The issue is not the rain. The issue is the condition of the ground. Your obedience prepares the ground. Your focus prepares the ground. Your boundaries prepare the ground. Your daily bricks prepare the ground. Your sacred no prepares the ground. Your completion prepares the ground. So do not only ask for more. Become ordered enough to steward more. Become focused enough to recognize what is for you. Become faithful enough that provision has somewhere to land. Become clear enough that when the right help arrives, you do not waste it on confusion. For those entering this season, provision may not first look like a dramatic miracle. It may look like a clearer mind. It may look like the courage to say no. It may look like one right person who understands the work. It may look like an unexpected opening. It may look like a small resource that appears exactly when you take the next step. It may look like energy returning after you stop feeding false responsibilities. It may look like peace in a decision you used to fear. It may look like discipline that finally feels possible. Do not despise that. Provision often starts quietly. A seed is provision. A brick is provision. A clear instruction is provision. A protected hour is provision. A healed boundary is provision. A focused mind is provision. The right no is provision. The next yes is provision. And when you finish what is in your hands, the next level of provision often becomes easier to recognize, because you are no longer asking provision to support confusion. You are asking it to support obedience. Chosen one. This is why the work matters so deeply. It is not just a project. It is not just a task. It is not just a dream. It is a place of formation. It is a place where your identity is being rebuilt. Because as you return to the work, you discover who you are. You are the builder, not only the dreamer, not only the feeler, not only the one who imagines what could be. You are the one who places bricks. You are the one who creates structure where there was chaos. You are the one who can build something that outlasts a mood. You are the one who can take invisible instruction and give it visible form. You are the builder. You are the voice. Not because you need attention, but because there are things you carry that must become language. There are truths you have survived that must become wisdom. There are people who need words for what they have been feeling. There are rooms where confusion has been loud and clarity must speak. There is a sound in you that was not meant to stay buried under fear. You are the voice. You are the cycle breaker, not because you are better than those who came before you, but because you have been given the responsibility to stop repeating what wounded you. You are not here to carry every pattern forward. You are not here to normalize dysfunction because it is familiar. You are not here to call bondage tradition. You are not here to pass down pain without interruption. Something may have started before you, but through obedience, healing, and courage, it can end with you. You are the cycle breaker. You are the bridge. You have stood between worlds for a long time, between pain and purpose, between silence and speech. between survival and calling, between spiritual sensitivity and practical obedience, between who you were and who you are becoming. That is why you often felt like you did not fully fit anywhere. You were not created only to fit. You were created to connect, to stand in the gap, to help others cross from confusion into clarity, from despair into hope, from scattered living into sacred order. You are the bridge, and you are the spiritual warrior. Not because you never feel tired, not because you never feel afraid, not because you never cry, but because you keep holding ground. You have been pressed, but not erased, delayed, but not denied, misunderstood, but not emptied, wounded, but not ruined, hidden, but not forgotten. You are learning to stand where the old you would have run. You are learning to build where the old you would have collapsed. You are learning to obey where the old you would have over-explained. You are the spiritual warrior. You are called. You are equipped. You are responsible. Let that sit in you. You are called. You are equipped. You are responsible. Not called to carry everything. Not equipped to please everyone. Not responsible for every storm. Called to the work. Equipped for the work. Responsible for the work. That is why from now on, your only job is not to answer every voice. It is not to prove your worth. It is not to rescue every person from every consequence. It is not to chase every open door. It is not to maintain every old expectation. It is not to keep shrinking so others can remain comfortable. Your only job from now on is to return to the work, finish the work, and let everything else find its proper place around obedience. Return, build, finish, return, build, finish, return, build, finish. That is the rhythm, not panic. Rhythm, not pressure. Rhythm, not self-hatred. Rhythm, not dramatic intensity that burns out in 3 days. Rhythm, a steady return, a faithful brick, a guarded gate, a sacred no, a clean yes, a quiet refusal to come down from the wall. And now, hear this final warning with love. Distraction will come again. Do not be surprised. After clarity, distraction often tests the gate. Old patterns may call your name. Old people may test your availability. New opportunities may flatter your gift. Fear may become loud again. Guilt may try to sound like compassion. Comparison may show you someone who looks farther ahead. Perfectionism may tell you the brick is too small to matter. Shame may whisper that you delayed too long to begin now. Do not be shocked when these voices return. Their return does not mean you failed. It means the gate must be guarded. When distraction comes, do not argue with it for hours inside your mind. Ask one question: is this worth coming down from the wall? Let that question become a sword. Is this worth coming down from the wall? Is this conversation worth coming down from the wall? Is this argument worth coming down from the wall? Is this old habit worth coming down from the wall? Is this guilt worth coming down from the wall? Is this need to be understood worth coming down from the wall? Is this new opportunity actually aligned, or is it just another way to avoid the work? Is this fear protecting wisdom or protecting delay? Ask the question, then return. If it does not belong to the wall, it does not get your first strength. If it does not serve the assignment, it does not sit on the throne of your attention. If it only feeds the old identity, it does not get to lead the new season. If it requires you to abandon obedience to keep peace, it is not true peace. If it demands your self-abandonment as the price of connection, it is not sacred connection. If it pulls you from the work every time the work starts breathing, discern it. Do not come down. Not every interruption deserves a reaction. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every misunderstanding deserves an explanation. Not every invitation deserves attendance. Not every crisis deserves your first strength. Not every open door deserves your feet. Do not come down. The wall needs your hands. The work needs your focus. The assignment needs your yes. The future version of you needs your consistency. Someone you have not met yet may need what your obedience will produce. Someone you may never know may be strengthened by the wall you are building now. That is why this is bigger than emotion. This is bigger than motivation. This is bigger than a good idea. This is stewardship. And now I want to guide you through something inward. Do not move your body. Do not do anything unsafe. If you are driving, walking, resting, or lying down, stay as you are. This will happen inside. Let your mind form a simple picture. You are standing before a wall. Not a wall that traps you. A wall that you are called to rebuild. Some parts are already standing. Some parts are broken. Some stones are scattered on the ground. Some tools are near your feet. The sky above you is quiet. The air around you is still. And, for the first time, you are not asking, why is this wall unfinished? You are asking, what brick belongs in my hands today? Now, in that inner picture, hear the voices at a distance. One voice says, come explain yourself. Another says, come prove you care. Another says, come chase this new thing. Another says, come back to the old pattern. Another says, you are too late. Another says, you are not ready. Another says, this small brick does not matter, but you do not leave the wall. You let the voices stay at a distance. You do not fight them. You do not follow them. You do not build a courtroom in your mind to answer them. You simply turn back toward the wall. And in your spirit, you pick up one brick. That brick has a word on it. Focus. You place it. Another brick has a word on it. Obedience. You place it. Another brick has a word on it. Courage. You place it. Another brick has a word on it. Boundary. You place. Another brick has a word on it. Consistency. You place it. Another brick has a word on it. Faithfulness. You place it. And with every brick, the wall rises a little. Not all at once, but truly. The work becomes less imaginary. The calling becomes less vague. The assignment becomes less frightening. Your hands begin to remember that they were made to build. Your spirit begins to remember that it was not created only to carry burdens. It was created to finish what was entrusted. Now let one sentence rise inside you. I return to the work. Again, I return to the work, not to punish myself. I return to the work, not to prove myself. I return to the work, not to impress anyone. I return to the work, not because I feel ready every moment. I return to the work because it has been placed in my hands. Let that sentence become a seal. When you feel scattered, return to the work. When guilt calls, return to the work. When fear speaks, return to the work. When old patterns open their doors, return to the work. When comparison tries to steal your peace, return to the work. When you do not know the whole future, return to the work. When you only have strength for one brick, return to the work. Now I want to speak this over you as a closing. May every false assignment lose its grip on your spirit. May every old identity that was built around fear begin to fall away. May every unnecessary yes be exposed. May every sacred no become cleaner in your mouth. May your first strength return from the places where it has been leaking. May your mind become clearer. May your spirit become steadier. May your hands become faithful again. May you stop calling distraction responsibility. May you stop calling fear wisdom. May you stop calling guilt love. May you stop calling delay preparation when the instruction has already been given. May you receive the courage to define the wall. May you receive the wisdom to clear the rubble. May you receive the discipline to place daily bricks. May you receive the discernment to guard the gate. May you receive the patience to finish before expanding. May you receive the humility to build without applause. May you receive the strength to be misunderstood without abandoning obedience. May you receive the peace that comes from order. May you receive the focus that comes from alignment. May you receive the provision that belongs to stewardship. May you receive the relationships that honor your calling without demanding your self-abandonment. May you release the ones who only wanted access to the unhealed version of you. May you bless what is not yours and stop chasing it. May you honor what is yours and stop postponing it. May you return to the work. May you build the work. May you finish the work. And if you sense the Father speaking to your heart in this moment, hear it like a gentle correction, not a harsh accusation. My child, I am not asking you to carry everything. I am asking you to steward what I placed in your hands. I am not measuring you by the voices you answer. I am forming you through the work you obey. Do not come down for every distraction. Do not abandon the wall because fear speaks loudly. I have not forgotten what I gave you. Return to it. Build with me. Finish what is yours to finish. Chosen one, this is the seal. You are not behind beyond repair. You are not too late to return. You are not disqualified because you delayed. You are not weak because you trembled before the assignment. You are not selfish because you must protect your focus. You are not wrong because old access is changing. You are not cruel because you can no longer abandon yourself to keep everyone comfortable. You are being ordered. You are being gathered. You are being commissioned. And from now on, when life tries to scatter you, remember the wall. When people misunderstand your focus, remember the wall. When a new door opens and flatters your gift, remember the wall. When fear says you are not ready, remember the wall. When shame says you waited too long, remember the wall. When the old version of you wants to return to chaos because chaos feels familiar, remember the wall. Your only job is to return to the work. Your only job is to build what has been placed in your hands. Your only job is to give your first strength to the assignment that keeps returning. Your only job is to stop coming down for what was never sent to lead you. Your only job is to finish the thing that this season has been preparing you to finish. Everything else must find its place around that obedience. Not above it, not before it, around it, because when the work is first, order begins. When order begins, clarity returns. When clarity returns, strength gathers. When strength gathers, completion becomes possible. When completion becomes possible, the next season can recognize you, and the person you are becoming will no longer need to beg the old life for permission. You will walk differently, speak differently, choose differently, rest differently, serve differently, love differently, build differently. Not because you became someone else, but because you finally became honest about who you were called to be. So let this be your final declaration. I return to the work. If that sentence belongs to you, place it somewhere your spirit can see it. If it feels right, speak it in the comments. I return to the work, not as a performance, as a witness, as a marker, as a small stone placed at the beginning of a new order. And if the 7-minute recalibration tool mentioned earlier resonated with your spirit, you can find the information in the pinned comment and description. Explore it only if you feel led. Let it support the clarity. But remember, no tool replaces obedience. The work still needs your yes. The wall still needs your hands. The assignment still needs your faithfulness. So go back to the wall. Do not come down for the wrong voices. Do not spend your oil on false urgency. Do not give your first strength to second things. Return, build,